The only caveat is putting a time limit on you. That's how much everybody in here got. Basically, it was 2 days, okay, which would be, by the time you get logged in, about 45 minutes each day. So that's 90 minutes, okay? Go from there. Any questions on that? I mean, I even had one student who did already, that is not here, take the test, and they scored on what they usually do on everything else. So it's not like because there are some parts of that test that you cannot, you have to basically look at and know what you're looking at in order to solve it. All right, so now as we go through, this is going to be the last of 4.1, okay? All right, this is a setup for you guys, just making sure you understand the first page of this is not that difficult, okay? What it is all about, the first page is all about you guys understanding on this last third page. The first setup is just making sure you guys can write the equations. Where's my mouse? There it is. Making sure you guys can write equations, making sure you understand how to set these up, okay? It's a relatively simple process, but I want you to be able to start to identify things, okay? So for example, a rental car company has a standard charge, okay? And this is realistic. All right, this is how they usually work and operate. They give you one equation, okay? And then what they do, ladies and gentlemen, is they also offer you an insurance option, okay? And on that insurance option, then they're asking you to let C be the total charge for your rental that would include insurance. Okay, so, and that's all you're doing is writing the equation out. So you have to let C be the total charge, C equals. And then what you're doing is you're writing down your equations that are given to you, okay? So the first equation is going to be 1695 plus the 0.7 M. Okay, that's what I'm writing like that for shorten it up, because that's 70 cents a mile. All right, and then it's plus the insurance, which is 475 plus 0.35 M. And that's it. Now, are you done? I want you to simplify as much as possible. So you have to actually do what? Combine like terms, and that's it. And this is all you're going to do on the homework. Now, what's important on the homework is to understand that when you're doing this, ladies and gentlemen, that you are actually combining the right things, and then I want you to set up the equation, and that's it. That's all you're doing. You're done. All right, so for example, your homework would be C equals. Try to always put the variable first, okay? So for example, on this, it'd be 0.7 M plus 0.35, so it ended up to be $1.05 M, right? And then it would be plus, and you add these two numbers in a calculator, and you'd end up with 21.70. And that's it. You're done. Okay? What I want you to understand is when it comes to this equation right here, that's all you're doing. Okay? Is writing the equation down. Now, what does it mean? But here's the problem we're going to run into. Alex just wants you to write the equation. But eventually what's going to happen when we get to a real test, it's going to say, what does this number mean? This number means what? This is your fee that you have to pay up front no matter what. And then for every mile that you drive with this rental car, how much are you paying? $1.05. That's what you have to understand. Equations are going to be given to you. You have to make sure you can tell me the pieces of the puzzle. Now, the other one on here is about Jenny and her husband. Okay, they're going to start a savings plan. I would want you to write the equations down here. Jenny's going to start. She's going to put $135 aside and then add $19.45 a week. So she's going to go $19.45, and then right here it says let N be the number of weeks, so it'd be N plus her starting dollar amount of $135. Husband, what's he putting in? He's not putting anything in, but he's going to put how much aside every week? $67.95 N per week. All right, so now that we have those two, what are you supposed to do? Simple. You just combine the dollar amounts, and that's it. So these are the only two things that actually match up and can combine. So you just add those together, and it says let T be the total. So on Alex, you'd have to put T equals, and it would be $87.40 and plus their initial value. And that's it. Not difficult. What it is making sure you guys can take a word problem and make it into a equation. Listen, you guys will be doing this stuff in the real world, okay? If anybody in here, once you have a significant other or you do something else, okay, what would you actually do? All right, you would put in, you'd have to create the equation, ladies and gentlemen, and then once you create the equation, what do you actually do with it? You put in a dollar amount there, or a week, say after 17 weeks, how much do I have? And that's what you put in there. Any questions? That's all this is about. All right, what I want you guys to do is please do the next two. All right, write me the equations, and that's it. All right, so just write me these two equations for these two, and we'll be done.
Hello.
Do you have a pass?
I think I do somewhere. I got it from his Coke. That's $1.
As long as you're in this book.
Yeah, I went to the office in third hour and they came back fourth hour.
All right, I'll give her a call later. All right, write these out, please. All right, with these, make sure you know the difference between Frank and his wife, okay? So how Frank set aside some money, okay? He initially set aside $35 and then was gonna do $30.65 a week plus the initial 35. And then understand his wife is doing what? 52.62. And then it's just asking you to tell you what the total dollar amount is. So on Alex, you'd have to put T equals, and then you write the equation out as $83.72. And wait, is that right? Nope, wrote it down. 83.27. Sorry. I'm like, that doesn't add up. 83.27 and plus 35. And so same thing's going to apply. They're going to ask you guys, what does the 35 stand for? That's the what? Initial amount, okay? The kind that first amount they set aside. And then what does 83.72 mean? That is the how much they're doing each week, okay? Here's the problem. It's no longer going to be about, oh, let's do these equations and then that's it. All right, 2 plus 2 is 4. Great. Why? They're changing that, right? They want you to understand what you're looking at, because the biggest problem you guys will have is you don't know what you're looking at. Testimony to that was to the test, okay? For those individuals that finished the test, I got to see a lot of your mistakes. For those that did not finish, okay, I got to see in the ones that were handwritten, I got to see some of the thought process behind it. Your work, I got to see where your work was at, where you missed a couple things here and there. All right, you guys have got to understand as you're moving through this, that you put these pieces together, okay? Same with this, all right? Car rental standard charge is S equals 0.60 M plus 1475. And then their insurance was $325. And now you just do what? Combine those terms, right? So when you're combining these terms up, make sure you match them up. So the variable goes with the variable. And so that your total is what? Is it supposed to be C? Yeah. C is your total charge. Put the slope first if you can. 85 M. And then it's going to be plus $18. By the way, that's how U-Haul, Penske, any rental truck, that's how they work. You walk in, you pay a flat fee, and then you pay per miles. So when you see on the side of the billboard for as low as $30, yeah, that's if you rent the truck and then it just sits there. Okay, you could say as low as $18, yeah, but you'd rent the truck and then it just sits there and then you return it back. The moment you start to drive it, usually now they give you they'll give you like 50 miles for free. It's like, all right, we'll give you 50 miles for free now. So you spend $40 up front. So instead of 18, you spend 40, and then you get the first 50 miles free. After that, you pay per mile. So that's how it works now. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? You will use these things. You should know what you're paying for. All right, the very last thing on here is a little bit more tricky. It's a prediction of you guys trying to make sure you understand how to predict and how to use a formula. And when you read this, suppose a monthly bill is a linear function, which actually most of them are, okay, where when graphed, the slope is 145. So we know M equals 1.45. If the monthly cost for 15 units is $47.80, what is the monthly cost for 19 units? Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain this. We are going to use the slope formula, which is M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, because this is a prediction model. So let me explain one thing to you. Whenever you see, and because this has been kind of you guys are still struggling with what's the domain and what's the range, right? Now you guys know, if you see a graph like this, the domain is going left and right, and range is going which way? Up and down. Whenever we see anything like this, you may ask yourself, well, what's the X coordinate and what's the Y? Well, ladies and gentlemen, think of a finance. See, some of you don't know finance, and that's fine. You will eventually learn. If you see a stock market, usually it has a number of days here, like days. And then what happens on these days? You see graphs that start going like this. What are these? This represents what? On the day, this represents the dollar amount. So dollar amount is usually what coordinate? Is it the X or the Y? It's the Y. Okay, they'll have it on the side here. It'll give you like from 0 to 50, or 0 if you're Amazon, 0 to 1,000. And you'll see how Amazon stock has went up and above $1,000 per share as the time has traveled. Okay, so on this, what you need to understand is that these are actually coordinate points. That for if you sell 15 units, you would make how much? 47.8. And if you have 19 units, do we know what this number is right here? That's what we're looking for. If there is a slope that does not change, you're trying to find the hidden variable right here. Okay, most of the time, what letter are we using right now? X, but we're going to use R. Because if I use X or Y, it's going to get you confused. Okay, we just want to find a letter besides X or R. All right, now what you got to do is fill in the blanks. M equals what? 1.45. And it's going to equal my y2. Now, what I want you guys to do is always put this number first. So that way you're not dealing with a negative exponent. So it'll be r, and then it's supposed to be what? Minus, minus. It's very important that you guys start to understand this, okay? Remember, it's always r, and then it's always what? Two negatives. Okay, now what's the next point? All right, you put the 47 because this is y, 0.8 on top, and then the what on the bottom? 15. Okay. Now you have to simplify. So ladies and gentlemen, tell me what's 19 minus 15? 4. Okay, so I'll do it over here. 1.45 equals r minus 47.8 all over what number? 4. Okay, so now you tell me, what is my next step? We're solving for r. Not yet. No, you don't want to. You want to get everything to which side? We're going which way with this equation? We're going everything over to here. So you would multiply to get rid of what? The 4. Okay, so the first step is going to be to multiply this bad boy on both sides by the number 4. So let's multiply this by 4 here, and you do that over here on this side, right? So when you end up with, you would get 5.8 equals r minus 47.8. And then you guys should know by looking at this, your last step is add. So long story short, ladies and gentlemen, what is my point? My dollar amount ends up being r equals, you add those together, you get 53.6. Does that logically make sense? Okay, now this formula might be confusing, but here's what I want you to understand. If I go back to the original problem up here, if I'm at 15 and my slope is positive going up, should this number be bigger? Should it be bigger? The answer is what? Yes. Okay, because the more you sell or the more you use, the number is going to go up in your slope. So is this number bigger than that one? The answer is yes. Okay, you have to double check your work. Some of you are giving me crap. You're giving me tiny numbers that make no damn sense. Yes, sir.
Would it also work to just take 47.8 and divide it by 15 and then multiply it by 19? Is that a simpler way to do it?
You can try it and see if it works. Gives you the slope, and then you could take the slope. Depends on your starting point, because I noticed on the A1 that some of you did that some of you just multiplied it straight out, and then you didn't actually get the right number because you forgot your starting number. Some of you multiplied the when you did the arithmetic sequence on the test. Some of it worked, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, it just depends. It depends on your starting point, like this one here. Okay. All right. So the same thing applies for this other one. Okay. Now, if you can come up with a different way, Job, to figure it out, please do. Okay. If there's something that makes more logical sense to you, please do it. Like I said, this is always, when I present stuff to you guys, it's always how you would do things. But if you can figure out another way of troubleshooting and figuring it out, please go ahead and do that. All right. So here, once again, the other example. Here's your slope. Here's your first point, 49, and then it's 2298.9, right? And now, what do you do with the other one? The weight of the plane with what? 78, but we don't know what that is, so it's 78 R. What I want you guys to do is set up this equation with these numbers and see if you can solve this. Does that make sense? Okay, set the equation up. 6.1 equals, and then, like I said, start with this point, R and 78 minus minus. Plug in the other one and see if you guys can come up with what R equals. Does it work, Joe, or no? It's probably because of the starting point. is not 0. The starting point is 0, it might work. We don't know what the starting point is. We'll figure that out when we do correlation. The starting point is rarely 0. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. All right, simplify everybody, please. 6.1 equals R minus 2298.9 over what number? 29. And then the next step is to do what? So please make sure you guys know how to simply solve these up. Okay, as we go forward this year, you guys understand geometry takes it a step further. Algebra 2, it goes much farther with the division, the multiplication, the figuring it out, and the problem solving. Okay, you guys have to be able to figure those things out as you move forward. All right, then you just put it in calculator, and you would end up with 176 on this side, 0.9 equals R minus 2298.9. Then you simply add this to both sides, and you end up with your number, okay, which was R equals 24. Same thing. Linear line, okay? If on the linear line, my original points are 2298, and I have 49 gallons, and I throw in 78 gallons, and it's a positive slope, should this number R be bigger? The answer is what? Yes. If you were to present to me an answer that is smaller, you did your math wrong. Please double check your work as you're handing it in, because some of you in here are just handing in work and not actually looking at it. All right, any questions on this one? All right, when we get back, ladies and gentlemen, from lunch, we will discuss and start 4.2. That gets a little crazy.